People don't want to be zipping all over the internet anymore. They want to stay where they're at. We do a lot of work with our clients on LinkedIn and for ourselves on LinkedIn. If you're consuming content on LinkedIn, and you can debate the experience all you want, but if you're consuming content there, you don't want to leave. You're there, right? You don't want to be going in and out, in and out. And certainly the LinkedIn algorithm doesn't want you to leave.
John Miller is the founder of Scribewise, a marketing agency that specializes in working with professional services firms, and he's the author of Playing It Safe Sucks, a manifesto for courageous marketing. He's also worked in PR and sports radio, so he's pretty familiar with what it takes to build and maintain an audience. John, thanks for joining us for this conversation.
Mike, thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
All right, so there's a lot going on in the world of search today. There's zero-click search, the AI overviews that everyone is now getting when they do a search. The fact that even if you rank 1 or 2 in Google, which has been everyone's goal for years, you're now like 8 to 10 slots down below the ads, below the AI overview, below the suggested searches. At a high level, what does this all mean for people who are trying to build an audience?
It's a lot harder than it's ever been, certainly than it's been in 25 years. And people, I do feel that companies must start to find different ways to do this, because you can't just say, we're going to create a ton of content, make sure it's SEO optimized, and then expect people to come, because it just doesn't happen anymore. And I think the reasons are twofold. AI is a huge factor in that, obviously, because while your content can feed to AI answers, you're really not getting a ton of credit for it. At least your brand's not getting a ton of credit for it. It's not driving traffic to your website. There's a benefit because you're shaping the industry conversation, perhaps, if you do a lot of it and you do it well. So AI is a huge piece of it, but I also think human behavior is a huge part of it. People don't want to be zipping all over the internet anymore. They want to stay where they're at. We do a lot of work with our clients on LinkedIn and for ourselves on LinkedIn. If you're consuming content on LinkedIn, and you can debate the experience all you want, but if you're consuming content there, you don't want to leave. You're there, right? You don't want to be going in and out, in and out. And certainly the LinkedIn algorithm doesn't want you to leave. And that's true of all social networks. If I'm on Instagram, I probably want to stay within Instagram, which isn't search necessarily, but that's how people interact with information these days. They want headlines, not deep dives. Sometimes they want a deep dive, but they want to get the information they want and they want to move on. So I think building an audience has never been harder in our lifetimes.
Okay, so how should marketers and creators be thinking about audience development these days? And I'll tell you, for instance, the way I've been approaching it is, I think about it in terms of push and pull. So SEO would be a pull strategy where you're trying to bring audience to you. Something like email newsletters would be a push strategy where you're sending your stuff to them. What are some other frameworks and ways to think about this?
Well, I think it really depends on your business, right? I think that's very important. Like you mentioned off the top, we work mostly with professional services firms. That's a high consideration purchase. Someone doesn't land on our client's website and buy from them, right? There's trust building that occurs over time. And SEO can certainly be a piece of that, but it's less and less and less. And it's if that's your total strategy, I think you're in big trouble. I think there are new ways to figure out community. Like one of the things that is emerging, and we just got invited today to collaborate with one other company, but you can build communities on Slack. And you see those, right? And you're probably in a couple of them. I'm in a couple of them. And there are people from all over the place. It's not going to be millions of people, but I think we have to focus on those 1,000 raving fans, those types of things, which if you have designs of blowing up into the next, Apple or whatever, or HubSpot, it's going to be really hard because it's going to be much more painstaking. It's going to be much more step by step. There's not that kind of compounding interest that occurred in the past with SEO. So you have to have a strategy that's much more targeted and a little bit more incremental, I think, which is frustrating for all of us, but you can't deny it. It's where we're at. It's people's behavior. It's changing technology. It's changing consumption habits. So you can pound your fist on the table all you want, but you got to get over it and move forward.
Yeah, there is, this may be old news by the time we air this episode, but the big talk on LinkedIn today in areas of search is what happened to HubSpot's blog traffic starting in early December. Yeah. And the interesting part of the debate is how much of it is technical, because there's certainly a technical component because Google has done something to the detriment of HubSpot. But you mentioned this earlier, the behavior of the people. Most people, for most searches, I believe, really just wanted an answer to their question. And now they get that.
Right. And I think I was reading someone's post and they said, these are 5 or 6 or 8 articles, whatever it was, where HubSpot has lost a ton of traffic. And one of them was how to write a cover letter. So that has nothing to do with HubSpot's business. I know they do a lot about career development and they have great resources there, but that's pretty far afield from their offering. So did Google tweak the algorithm to say that has got nothing to do with it? You're just fishing for clicks and we're shutting it down. That seems logical to me. I don't know, but it seems logical.
It seems logical to me too. The interesting thing about that is that it took them this long to do it. Because that is a strategy that HubSpot and many, many others have done for a long time. But it also goes along with, Google has emphasized authority and expertise. And, when you bestow on a site, an organization, we have decided you are an expert in this. That means there are also things that they have decided that you are not an expert in. And when you wade into that area, they're basically saying we're not going to play anymore.
Right. And I think if you have established that authority, if you have great search rankings, as you said, even great search rankings are not as valuable as they once were because you're buried beneath ads and AI overviews. But if you've done that, you're in decent shape. Like HubSpot's lost a ton of web traffic. Does it matter for HubSpot? HubSpot's a very well-known brand among their prospective clients, prospective customers, right? They just are. If you work in marketing and you don't know who HubSpot is, that's craziness. So yeah, people aren't going to the website, but people are very aware, and there's different venues where HubSpot can make themselves known, whether it's on social platforms, whether it's, I see them sponsor podcasts. I see them sponsoring, doing TV ads every now and then. So there's other ways for them to keep their brand awareness up instead of driving people to their website, because they can't drive people to their website because nobody can anymore.
Yeah. I feel like in HubSpot's first 18 to 36 months of existence, this would be a very, very big problem. Like you said, you reach a point where your brand is doing a lot of the lift for you, and it's not going to kill them. I saw one post on LinkedIn where somebody put the stock chart next to the blog traffic chart, and there's your story right there. Yep. No tears shed for the folks at HubSpot.
Yeah, they're fine.
Yeah. Fine. I think one of the interesting things about search I mentioned a minute ago, people just wanted an answer to their question, and increasingly that's all they get. It's all they ever wanted. People gravitate to the best customer experience. I think if you need an example of that, what Amazon has done to retail, I can shop at my couch and someone will bring it to my door, sometimes in the same day. If you can't beat that experience, you're going to find it very hard to win my business over from Amazon. So, right. But what happens to Google as we know it today? Because Google, sure, it's diversified into all sorts of other things, but it's heavily reliant on the ads, which we mentioned at the top of the SERP pages. For now, at least, that's a huge part of their revenue.
Right.
And it doesn't really seem to have a place in a world of AI generated answers to search queries. So what's your best guess on what happens to Google?
Well, Alphabet is hugely diversified, right? I wouldn't be worried about them. I might not run out and buy their stock today, but I wouldn't be too overly worried about it. And they'll take time because they do so many different things going on. But logically, if people are just searching and getting those, searching and getting the AI originated answers, those ads will become less valuable over time, right? Because it's like what you're saying is that the proof is that people will not click on those ads. Now, Google could start to say you still have brand awareness because you're showing up next to those, I suppose. But they're also obviously pushing hard into AI. So how will they monetize that? I don't know. Is it just going to be, an upcharge on your Google Suite? Yes, is the answer. I don't know exactly what they need to do for their business, but I'm sure there's some people there that are very nervous, because that's just been an annuity for them, right? It's just money that has flowed in huge amounts for years, and it's past its peak, you would think.
Yeah. And I feel like they were sort of forced into this position by OpenAI and the release of ChatGPT. And I would point to how quickly Gemini followed ChatGPT, which tells me they had this. They knew they could do this. They had no reason to do it until someone else did it first.
Right. They probably were aware it would cannibalize their primary business, at least to a certain extent.
Yeah. All right. So there's a question we're asking just about everybody on Conversations with Martech Season 1. And that question is, what did you want to be when you were 10 years old, John?
That is such an easy question for me. When I was 10 years old, I wanted to be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles.
There you go. Jalen Hurts.
There's some differences between him and me.
Just a few.
600 pounds. Probably can't throw, run fast, think like him at all. So,
all right. John Miller, thanks for being on Conversations with Martech.
Cool. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. This is fun.
If you like Conversations with Martech, you're going to love what the Martech Conference is planning in March. The Spring Martech Conference takes place March 25th and 26th, 2025. It's online, it's free, and it'll be more interactive than ever before. Get your free pass today and join the Martech conversation.